What's good, my lovely people? It's the humble servant of the life, your main man Solace. I like to say that before every video just to remind myself to actually try and be humble. Now, I want to do this video right fast for y'all called Antarctica, Land of the Gods. Now, there's always been a lot of mystery around Antarctica, way before our times. So even if you go back to ancient Kemetic times of Akhenaten, or you go back to the Assyrian times, Antarctica was covered in ice, and it was always surrounded in mystery. Now, the reason why I called it the Land of the Gods is because in ancient Greek, they always spoke of their gods, like the Titans, the Olympians, as if they lived in the sky, on a mountain or a cloud, but they always had them living in the sky and sometimes coming down and intervening in man's mishaps or whatever the case may be, even if they weren't supposed to. But this is how they explained it, as if their gods lived up above men. Now, we have to grasp there's something very deep in that, because Antarctica is the place that they were speaking of when they spoke of the gods living up above men. So you have to grasp this. Antarctica is 16,066 feet high, meaning that land is basically in the air. Eagles fly about 13,000 feet if I'm not mistaken. So Antarctica is higher up than eagles fly, meaning Antarctica is higher than some clouds. It is literally in the sky. And this is the place that most civilizations refer to as the land of the gods, where the gods lived. So it's a deep thing y'all must grasp. Now, the highest point in Europe or Greece would be Mount Olympus, 9,500 feet or so. Now, if they went to that mountain, they would still have to look up about 6,000 feet to see Greece. 7,000 feet. So it's a deep thing. Y'all must grasp how high Antarctica is. See, in the daytimes, we don't see Antarctica, so we don't really know much about it except what they say. And most people don't ever bring up how high up it is, how it's literally in the sky. So you have to grasp on a deep level. A cloud is basically ice forming in the sky. So when you look up and see a big cloud, that is basically a big, large mass of land forming. But it will be an ice land. So clouds are nothing more than lands of ice in the sky. Now you have to grasp. The sun rises every day, so this is what evaporates the clouds and you get rain, hail, things of this nature. But if the sun didn't rise for a certain period, the clouds could actually form into complete solid land masses of ice. Now you have to grasp, this is what Antarctica is. Antarctica is frozen out like how it is because for some reason the sun was blocked and clouds formed into ice. And they didn't have to fall out the sky, being thus though Antarctica is already in the sky. It could just form around the land, all over the surface of it and around it, being as though the land is already in the sky. And this is how you get that. Then millions years later, when you get floods and things of this is how it stays frozen. So you have to truly grasp how deep this is and what I'm telling you, and how it's real. You have to grasp what a cloud is, and you have to grasp how high up Antarctica is. So now when you have the Greek gods and they're speaking of their gods, basically they're speaking of the constellations up above. So they're breaking down astrology and they're saying that they are the living descendants of those constellations, which are beings. You know how I teach. They are literal beings. So they had understanding and knowledge more than others, and this is how they enslaved them. They enslaved them through understanding constellations and how they are literal beings, just like solar systems are and galaxies are. So once you understand those are literal beings, then you say, oh, I am the living descendant of them upon earth, blase, blase. And then this is how you enslave the people into the religion, and you get control over the lands and things of this nature and the people. So this is what that truly was. But those that claimed themselves as the living gods, that were the descendants of those, now you have to understand, this predates the Greeks. But this is the information they got from those before them who got before them. But whoever it truly starts with, they are referring to those who we may call the Anunnaki or the Neteru or whatever name you want to give of the elite that has been enslaving mankind on Earth for I don't know how long now. They reside in Antarctica. This is that place where the gods live. But they're truly not gods. They're the Anunnaki or whatever y'all like to call them. They're the white motherfuckers. I'm trying to tell y'all. There's albino, real albino, white, platinum hair, red eyes. They live in Antarctica. They've always lived there separate from men. The albinos y'all see are like a mixing. They're not fully albino. They have melanin in them. They just don't have a lot. To be an albino, truly, you have to have none. And the motherfuckers that live in Antarctica have none. So you have to grasp, there's beings that are truly the elites and set up all the governments and plans and things we have now, and they're running this life from Antarctica separate from men. So you have to grasp. Anytime you hear any ancient story of gods living in the sky, it is speaking of Antarctica. It's your main man, Solace.